Okay, I'm going to do a little bit more for you. I just changed the battery on my camera, and this second battery I have actually needs to be charged up too. It's only going to give me a few minutes here. But that's all you're going to need, I believe, in order to be able to continue to do your project. Okay, now I got 3 sponges to work with. That one is saturated, this one's not as saturated. And to wipe off, I'm going to use my clean one. And it's just going to be a slight little process for you. If you get a little bit on the base, don't sweat it, okay? I tried to clean that first, and I realized later that I get too much cleaner on the floor when I get done. I see I might have taken off just a little bit too much. I'm going to put a little bit back on there. I'm going to wipe some of that off and try to leave a little bit on there. If I get a little bit of white from the paint that was on the floor left, that's fine. Just going over this area and then wiping off the excess as best I can with that sponge. That one's saturated. Now I can take off a little bit extra with this sponge. That way I can keep my clean sponge as clean as possible. Now see, if you liked it just like that, then you can go back and forth like that. But that's still just a hair too dark for the owner. Okay, so she wanted a little bit lighter. So now I can take this sponge that hardly has any residue on it, and I can kind of buff out this a little. And that's taking off some excess on there. Doesn't that look good? And that'll blend in the lines. Now see, some of these lines are swirls from when they applied the glue on the floor. And then there's some dips in here. There's some pits that came out darker. Your floor is just going to pick up a mind of its own as you go. Okay. And I was careful to make sure I blended it in up at the top because I'm working this direction. Okay, so now I'm ready to do this next section. Hopefully you can see most of this okay. And the reason why I have this cleaner out, sometimes this first go with the sponge, you know, if it doesn't take off enough of your material, you can spray some cleaner on there. That's just going to let this activate everything. Let it slide more easily. Okay? There's only so much I can get off. Even, you know, once this gets saturated a lot, I'll rinse this out in my bucket, and not much is coming out. Okay? But, you know, it'll help me get lots of this off. This gets saturated too much. Okay, see, there's no way I can do anything more with that sponge. Now I'm going to take off more of the excess with this next sponge. It doesn't have as much residue on it. Okay, I want to try to get off as much as I can. It's not going to be perfect. Okay. Now I can use this sponge. It's almost new, see? That's going to finish it up. See there? Concentrating on making sure I blend in at the top where I was before. It almost looks like I did all this with one gigantic, huge sponge, doesn't it? Because I'm being mindful of where I'm starting and stopping. I'm using the right sponge at the right time, and you can too. Like I was telling you before, I'm just an average Joe. I'm not a professional floor guy by any means, and if I can do this, you can do this. I'm not going to show you anything I don't think you can't do on any of my videos. That goes for any of my videos, okay? So let's get you angled about like that. I'm fairly close to my door opening going out, but I'm going to do that last. I can still do this section here before I move back over into another corner and start working back out towards the door, okay? Because the door is the last area where I'm going to go. Because I don't want to walk on this. All this area that I've already done, I've got to let this set now. Got to let it set for maybe a day and a half, 2 days, to let this stain kind of dry. If you start walking on it, you might feel it with your hand and think, oh, that's fine, I can walk on there. And then your feet are tacky. You're going to show your footprints on here, and that's the last thing you want. Then you're going to remember what Joe told you. Oh yeah, that's why Joe said, wait, oops. Yeah, oops. Don't want that happening. You know, worst case scenario, if you get footprints on it, you're going to have to go back in and try to blend those back in together, hoping that you won't have to go over the entire floor again if you're not watching what you're doing. Obviously, you can't use a sponge that's too dark to try to blend in anything, because then it leaves a line. Once that dries, you're going to see that. Okay? You don't want that. No siree, bud. I'm going to get off a little bit more with my middle sponge. It doesn't have as much material saturated in it. Now I'm taking my new one. Man, I'm glad I didn't take those back to the store. I was trying to save and have 6 left so I could take back to the store, because I bought them in a pack of 6. And you know what? I may have to, even before I get done with this room, I might even have to get into another sponge. I don't really think so though. This is going really good. I've got lots of area on this sponge that I can still use to blend in. See? Just use the right sponge at the right time. See there? Now, here's an area way out there, right there. I'm just going to put my hand here. I'm going to kind of use another, maybe newer area right here on the sponge and try to just blend that in like that, see? Look at that. That mark is gone. Now where I put my hand, I can reach out there and get that. I'm good. I'm good. There's half of your floor done in this room. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep working in this room. You see, I got this whole section done. That's what it's going to look like now. There's the door. So now I'm going to turn around and I'm going to have to decide, do I work in that corner and come out this way and blend in, or am I going to work in this corner next to the door? I may end up closing the door and starting from the edge of the door, like right here, and go that direction, and then maybe come out this way and just come out a foot and a half, 2 feet in front of the door, let's say, okay, and then across, and then I could go along this wall, blend it in over to what I've already done over here. Am I getting you dizzy yet? You know, somehow I've got to do it in such a way to where everything's going to be blended in, and I'm going to have to finish blending right at the door, and that's why I've got my carpet pad out there. I've got my shoes ready for my exit and everything. I'm all set to go. Hey, I've even got a little bit more time on this battery. I think maybe I could show you a little bit more, but you know what? I don't think you need any more for me to show you, because I think you've got it now, don't you? That's all I got for this time, but I'll be back with more